Long regarded as wastelands, wetlands are now recognized as important features in the landscape that provide numerous beneficial services for people and for fish and wildlife. Some of these services or functions, including protecting and improving water quality, providing fish and wildlife habitats, storing floodwaters, and maintaining surface water flow during dry periods, these beneficial services are considered valuable to societies worldwide and are the result of the inherent and unique natural characteristics of wetlands. Wetland functions include water quality improvement, floodwater storage, fish and wildlife habitat, aesthetics, and biological productivity. The value of a wetland is an estimate of the importance or worth of one or more of its functions to society. For example, a value can be determined by the revenue generated from the scale of fish that depend on the wetland, by the tourist dollars associated with the wetland, or by public support for protecting fish and wildlife. So although large-scale benefits and functions can be valued, determining the value of individual wetlands is difficult because they differ widely and do not all perform the same functions or perform functions equally well. Decision makers must understand that impacts on wetland functions can eliminate or diminish the values of wetland. So, water storage. Wetlands function like natural tubs or sponges, storing water and slowly releasing it. This process slows the water's momentum and erosive potential, reduces flood heights, and allows for groundwater recharge, which contributes to base flow to surface water systems during dry periods. Although a small wetland might not store much water, a network of many small wetlands can store an enormous amount of water. The ability of wetlands to store floodwaters reduces the risk of costly property damage and loss of life. Benefits that have economic value to us, which is property damage and loss of life. For example, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers found that protecting wetlands along the Charles River in Boston, Massachusetts saved $17 million in potential flood damage. Water filtration. After being slowed by a wetland, water moves around plants, allowing the suspended sediment to drop out and settle to the wetland floor. Nutrients from fertilizer application, manure, leaking septic tanks, and municipal sewage that are dissolved in the water are often absorbed by plant roots and microorganisms in the soil. Other pollutants stick to soil particles. In many cases, this filtration process removes much of the water's nutrient and pollutant load by the time it leaves a wetland. Some types of wetlands are so good at this filtration function that environmental managers construct similar artificial wetlands to treat stormwater and wastewater. Wetlands are some of the most biologically productive natural ecosystems in the world, comparable to tropical rainforests and coral reefs in their productivity and the diversity of species they support. Abundant vegetation and shallow water provide diverse habitats for fish and wildlife. Aquatic plant life flourishes in the nutrient-rich environment, and energy converted by the plants is passed up the food chain to fish, waterfowl, and other wildlife, and to us as well. This function supports valuable commercial fish and shellfish industries. So this talks more about wetland-related information. This is really super interesting. An acre of wetland can store 1 to 1.5 million gallons of floodwater. Pretty amazing. Up to 1/2 of North American bird species nest or feed in wetlands. Pretty awesome. Although wetlands keep only 5% of the land surface in the continuous United States, they are home to 31% of our plant species. So anyway, 75% of commercially harvested fishes are wetland dependent because they lay their eggs there, right? So wetlands are super important.